Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar with Tom Panos. Just for those that don't know Tom teaches agents on how to list and sell more, build an attractive brand, and still have a full life. He is the founder of realestategym.com.au and has coached more than more million-dollar agents than any other trainer in Australasia. In this sales series webinar on Scripts and Dialogues, Tom will take us into winning words to get secure listings, creating appraisals, overcoming fee cutters, getting VPA, and staying in touch with your database in a post-COVID world. I will now hand over to Tom. Welcome.
Hello, hey Di, how you going? And a big hello to David as well and to the whole professionals team. Let's spotlight my video here. If we can pin me there, guys and girls, letting you know that, now David, do you need to say anything?
No, I was just going to say welcome, Tom. Long time since I've been a while since I've seen you now, but yeah, welcome and looking forward to your session today.
I'm looking forward to it as well. And everyone that's watching this here, I want to let you know that I am a professionals boy because my early career was working for the professionals at Padstow. Good day, Mike. Thank you for the Sunday night comments there, everyone. Hi in the chat box if you want to ask me anything throughout proceedings. But guys and girls, to start off with, what I'd like, as you're sitting there and watching this video right now, I want you to put into the chat box, why do people suck at prospecting? We know it's important. We know that you've got to do it. We know that the more people you speak to, the more business you get, but I want to get you involved. And Jerry Manning says, because they're lazy. Is there anything else? Tammy says they're scared. They're little crybabies. Someone's not nice to them. And then they're upset for the next 2 days and they don't ring anyone else. So we've got lazy fear. Jerry Manning also says they don't know how to do it properly. Yes, you've got to learn how to use the phone. Greg, how are you, Greg in Methven? Because we get distracted. Oh, Tommy, I'm busy at the moment. I've got a lot of properties on the go. I'm just time poor, too much on. Next one, low pickup. What? Oh, Tom, they're not picking up the phone. We get a lot of voicemails. You're supposed to get voicemails when you ring people up. Oh, I had another one today. Oh, Tommy, people get the shits when we call them. We prefer the letterbox drops. Why? Oh, well, you know, they don't get the shits. Of course, because they're not there to tell you. The only difference between a letterbox drop and email is that they're not there to hear it, right? So here's the deal. Let's just talk about this. Let's just talk about this for a moment. The reasons why people suck at prospecting is the following. Yes, they're scared. Rejection. Here's the deal. You don't like rejection? Go get yourself a job working for Wendy's Ice Cream at $18 an hour. You won't get rejected there. People are going to be happy. But you're in real estate because you want to have a better life. You're in real estate because you've got dreams and aspirations. You're in real estate because you want to build an investment property portfolio and you want to send your kids to good schools and you want to start having holidays when COVID goes away and you want to travel overseas. And that what you want to do is choose to have a life that you want to have, not the one that you're forced to have because that's the money you make. And I'm letting you know, rejection is the price you have to pay for all of those things. Super important. And today, I'm going to give you some of the scripts and dialogues that you can use when you're prospecting. I'm also going to give you some language, some questions that you can use that are going to help you disarm the clients that you're dealing with and serve them better. So I am also going to show you maybe a couple of slide deck, PowerPoint slides, but I'm going to start off and say right here, right now, the reason why people suck at prospecting is the following. Fear of rejection. They're lazy. They don't schedule it. What gets scheduled gets done. Another reason is this: they expect immediate results. Write this down, the 30-day rule. And what the 30-day rule says is this: what I do in this 30 days affects the next 90 days. I'll say that again. What I do in this 30 days affects the next 90 days. So what does that mean? Don't expect immediate results. Don't count score each day. You've got to understand. You've got to learn to manage the lag between the effort and the reward. Another reason why people suck at prospecting is what someone reported. I think it was Jerry. They don't know how to do it. They pick up the phone and they ring up and they say, "Hi, could I speak to Greg?" "No, Greg, it's Tommy from the Professionals. I'm just calling just to touch base, check in." Who checks in with people, guys and girls? Parole officers check in with people. That's not why you call people. And I'm letting you know, what you've got to call is with a strong because. It's called the law of because. And what the law of because says, I will always call people with a strong reason. Because. And oops, a bit foggy here, back in. And your because in real estate is the following. I'm going to give it to you. You call people for around 5 or 6 reasons. Let me go through those. Law number 1 on why you call someone is that another property in the marketplace has just been listed and you want to let them know. So this is what the call sounds like. "Hi, it's Tom Panos here from the Professionals. I know you're not selling and I'm going to be brief. The reason I'm calling is because number 27 Smith Street has just come onto the market. Comparable to yours, would it be okay to call you once it sells just to give you an up-to-date idea of the value of your home?" Bang! Call 1. That's the just listed call. Let me move on to the second call, the just sold call. "Hi, it's Tom Panos here from XY Real Estate. The reason I'm calling is because I promised I would. That property at 27 Smith Street near yours has now been sold. We're doing health updates to all our local community on Wednesday and Thursday this week. What day's best for you? Wednesday or Thursday? Thursday? Great. 4 o'clock? Or would you prefer a morning appointment? It's only going to take 10 minutes. Guys and girls, do you understand that when you start calling with a high because, your call moves away from commission breath and starts being value add? And that is what a trusted advisor does. They do value add. They're giving people useful information. So far, we've done 2 calls, the just listed call, the just sold call. And I know some of you are sitting there watching this right now and they're saying, "Oh, but Tommy, you should see, I got my Insta story yesterday on Instagram. It went viral. I had 2,000 views. Mate, Tommy, the game's changed." Listen to me, guys and girls, call me old-fashioned. I'm 53, 35 years in this business. Correct. 35 years in this business. And I'm going to tell you straight, the girl or guy who has the most conversations with people that own real estate in their area wins. End of story. "But Tommy, I got 2,000 people on my Insta story." Hey, having some guy that owns a delicatessen in New Guinea ain't going to help you list or sell real estate because they watch your Insta story. And in fact, any of you that are watching this that have decided that you're going to go high tech and actually lose high touch, listen to me. Being famous on Instagram is like being rich in Monopoly. It doesn't matter. Pick up the damn phone. So, the just listed call, the just sold call, they're the first 2 calls. Then I'm going to give you what I call the job keeper call. That's your 3rd call. You got to be doing it in November and December. Here it goes. "Hi, it's Tom Panos here from the Professionals. Hey, I know that you're not ready to come on to the market at the moment, Mr. Vendor, but I'd like to let you know the absorption rate in January is the highest of any month. Realestate.com tells us they get more eyeballs on January than any other month. And what we're doing is recommending to our owners to list now and maybe launch later, because we're concerned that in March, when JobKeeper goes and mortgage holidays goes, that we might actually lose some of the energy, excitement, and the premium prices we're getting right now. I'd like to sit with you for 10 minutes and have a chat to you about a strategy that is sell high, buy low. It will take 5 minutes. Would you be open-minded enough to have a quick chat about that? Now, by the way, guys and girls, did you hear the last sentence I used? Would you be open-minded? I can tell you, everyone thinks they are open-minded. If I sat at ARIC and said to the 4,000 people there, please put your hands up if you consider yourself open-minded, everyone would put their hand up. And you know what that means? It's a good piece of dialogue to use when you're talking to vendors. Let me show you how it can work with expired listings. So let's call this call number 4, right? So we've done so far the just listed, the just sold, the JobKeeper call. Call number 4 is the expired listing. We're chasing a listing that's been on the market for quite a while and hasn't sold. Here's what it would sound like. Ideally, you would have had some rapport and trust and a bit of conversation prior to this call, because we know that frequency builds trust, and the more frequency you have with people, the bigger the chance that they're going to let you actually continue that conversation with them. But here is the dialogue that I'd love you to use. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, would you be open-minded enough to spend 5 minutes with me where I can discuss how we sell homes in 72 hours that have been on the market with other agents for 90 days? Bang! Everyone's open-minded. No one wants to come across as being narrow-minded, a bigot. So I'm going to repeat that again. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, would you be open-minded enough for us to have a conversation for 5 or 10 minutes so I can show you how we sell properties in 72 hours that have been on the market for 90 days? Guys and girls, let me give you another piece of dialogue that can help you when you're talking to an expired listing. Listen to these words. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I'm not sure if this is for you, but think about what I just said. Every time you say to someone, I'm not sure if it's for you, but there's a little voice going inside of their head saying, but why wouldn't it be for me? So it's a very, very good question to use. I'm not sure if it's for you, but could I sit down with you for 5 or 10 minutes to explain our 5-phase approach to have property sold in 7 days that may have been on the market for 90 days with another agent? So far we've gone through 4 phone calls, right? The just listed, the just sold. We've also done the JobKeeper call, and I've done an expired listings call. Let me go on to the next call. It is the landlord that's been on the market and can't rent their property out, right? We know the sales market's strong. So why don't we turn around and realize that some of these landlords that have vacant properties and they're trying to rent them, you ring them up and there's your next call. Hey, it's Tom Panos here from The Professionals. I know that you're renting and you're not selling, but would you be open-minded to talking to me about a buyer that had $1 million to spend? Guys and girls, I hope you're getting something out of this conversation so far, and that is, More conversations you have in the market equals more appointments. More appointments equals more opportunities. That's sales. So I'd like you at the moment, if you don't have enough listings, if you don't have enough opportunities, to get your diary when we finish this webinar, and you're to block off from 9 o'clock to 11:30 a.m. every morning. Block off your diary. And what you're going to do is you're going to go off and you're going to look for business, and you're going to go back to basics. Because chances are, one of the reasons at the moment, if you're short of stock, is that at some point over the last 8 to 12 weeks, you stop hustling, you stop chasing, you stop doing the most important thing, talking to people. That's the cure. You go back to the basics, 9 to 11:30, because we know that the operating pattern is AM, we find our business, PM, we attend to our business. And I want you to know that you've got to start treating prospecting as if, my friends, it is an open for inspection. You've got to show up. It's non-negotiable. It's not a should, it's a must. So at this point of the conversation, guys and girls, I'm also going to open up my slide deck. And what I'm going to do is close that slide here, press my share button, share screen here. And what I'd like to do, guys and girls, is to come here, which you should be able to see. And by the way, let me summarize that nice and easy for you. Here is the prospecting slide I was talking about. You've got to learn the law of because. You call with a purpose. Number 2, the law of replacement. The law of replacement says I must always be prospecting because there is always people leaving my pipeline. They're deciding that they're going to sell with someone else, or they're deciding that they're going to keep their property, or they're deciding they're going to rent it. So you must always be adding people to your pipeline. I've got to tell you, real estate, it's one word. It's the pipe. Then I want you to understand there's a difference between the golden hours and the platinum hours. The golden hours is when we actually make our phone calls. The platinum hours is when we prepare to work out who we're going to call. One of the reasons why people suck at prospecting is they simply don't have a list of people to call. And I'm going to say to you right here, right now, what you need to do is, whether it's the night before or whether it's the morning of, have the list of people organized there for you to make your phone calls. And don't forget the 30-day rule. Please don't forget it. What I do in this 30 days affects the next 90 days. So what I want to do is, at this point, is actually share a slide with you. And this slide here is a definition of eminence. Eminence is called a term says that you've got superiority. You are seen as being a higher rank of your peers, that you're seen to be more elevated than the others. And I can't help it. When I look at the best of the best across Australia and New Zealand, the girls and guys, you know, the ones that make 100 sales a year and more, I've got to say to you, they've got eminence. They've already got this thing called positioning. And positioning for me is the secret weapon of the best agents. Don't get me wrong. You need to prospect. But if you want to actually be that agent, the 1% agent, the one that does 100 sales a year, the one that writes $1 million in GCI commission, you need to have the combination of both positioning and prospecting. And positioning is when you've got a brand that is already seen in the marketplace as being someone that's elevated. And the way that you get an elevated status is that you have what I call multiple fishing lines out there in the marketplace. And multiple fishing line means that you've actually got a strategy to get leads that works in combination, not in isolation. And I'm going to show you a slide that is going to show you what the attraction agents of 2020 are doing. They are doing letterbox drops, 100% set and forget. Drops work. We know who the damn customer is. It's a person behind a letterbox. Insta stories, they work, yes, but they work in combination, not in isolation. Facebook stories. So you put an Insta story and then that's duplicated onto Facebook story. Can I give you a couple of people that you should follow that I think execute stories reasonably well? Shane Beaumont from Western Australia, good operator, writes big money, and he posts great social media without the ego. The next one is Facebook posts. A Facebook post that has got an image. What we clearly know is that Facebook is all about visuals now. A Facebook Live. You've got to learn the art of becoming your own media company and doing one live per week. It might be a market wrap. It might be, you having sold a property that had been on the market with another agent and you're sitting out the front of it and saying, hey, let me show you how we sold this property in 3 days. LinkedIn, a community video where you actually do a video once a month with someone in your local community because you want to look like you are the epicenter of the community, that you're not on the fringes of the community, that you're bang, bang, bang in the center that brings the local businesses together. Pre-portal videos, how do they work? Hey, Tom Panos here from The Professionals. On Friday this week, this property is going on the market. It's going to hit realestate.com. I want to give you a heads up view, a backstage, in the moment, authentic look at this property. That is what I mean by the community, the pre-portal video. Vendor testimonial videos. How do they work? Simple. I sell David Crombie's house. I get him to give me a testimonial. I get that testimonial. And then what I do with that testimonial is that I actually upload it onto my social media account. I then tag David. I ask David to share the video, and presto, 500 of his friends have just got a testimonial about me. That is recommendation on steroids. Then we've got Rate My Agent or realestate.com or Google or Facebook. We simply know that we live in a world of consumerism. Reviews matter. Of course, a weekly email to your database. And all of a sudden, you begin to realize that you've got fishing lines that are working, multiple fishing lines that are working. So think about this for a moment. If you ever see a fisherman sitting there with one fishing rod versus a fisherman that's got a number of rods set up there, you will know that the chances and the probability of success increases with the amount of fishing rods out there. And in many ways, I'm just painting a picture here for you guys and girls that I want you to understand. What you want to do is set yourselves up to actually have lots of leads coming in by having multiple fishing rods there. And what I'm going to do right now, guys and girls, is I'm going back to the deck and I'm going to move in and I'm going to start talking to you a little bit about, a little bit about some of the dialogue that I think is really important and working in this market. So let's go through it. Number one, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, the absorption rate in January is the highest of any month. That basically means that any property that's on the market in the early weeks of January gets absorbed very quickly. I'm suggesting that we're on the market before everyone else because I've got to say to you, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, we are not going to have the normal January that we have in Melbourne. Most people in Melbourne often would not be looking at real estate till after Australia Day. That is no longer the case, guys and girls. And all across Australia, listen to me very carefully. The agents that go on holidays this Christmas and have got stock secured, ready for the 4th of January. Yes, I'm saying it. You're not going to go off and have lots of weeks off this year. Think about it. There's an appetite for real estate all over Australia. You are going to be back at work very early in January. That's what you're going to be doing, and you're going to take advantage of that marketplace, having high buyers there. The next thing is we're concerned about the end of JobKeeper and mortgage holidays. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, we're saying to you right here, right now, you want to actually be sold before these government stimulus and bank goes away. Thank you. List now, launch later. This is a great strategy to sign up stuff where people say, oh, but we'll do it next year. We'll get it organized next year. No, guys and girls. A lot happens. They talk to friends and family over Christmas and they change their mind and go with another agent. Sign it up, because there's a saying that they say, you never educate without control. And when have you got control in real estate? When you've got a listing signed up. The next one is this. Oh, this is where a lot of vendors are saying, oh, we don't want to go on the market. We just do off market. Hey, here's a piece of dialogue that you should actually have in your armor. Use it at the right time, at the right place. If it's not on the market, it's not in the market, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor. Let's keep moving on. Some more scripts and dialogues. Listing presentations. At a listing presentation, when you've got that agent that goes in and overprices a property and says, you know what, we're going to get you 1 million and we got lots of buyers and you don't need to market. It's all going to be good. Here's a piece of dialogue to actually devastate that agent. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, can I ask you, if a real estate agent came along and guaranteed you 40 days of sunshine during your marketing campaign, would you believe that agent? No, of course not. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want you to understand, real estate agents don't control the weather, and real estate agents don't control the market. The market sets the market. At best, an agent can influence the market. So what I've got to tell you, it's the process and not the promise of some big price they give you today that's going to get you top dollar. And what I'd like to do is spend time talking about that process. Number 3, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I've got to remind you that the cheapest agent and the best agent is generally not the same agent. And I've seen a lot of owners in Brisbane lose tens of thousands of dollars at the time of sale because they try to save a few $1,000s at the time of listing. Another piece of dialogue to help you overcome agents that offer free marketing or low commissions. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, the most expensive thing that you can do is to put a hot buyer in front of a bad agent. That can be really expensive. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want to ask you, what's most important for you? The risk of over-marketing by a few $1,000s or the risk of underselling by $50,000? Let's move on to some scripts for vendor management. Vendor management. This is where you've got a vendor that turns around. I had one recently at an auction. The vendor says to me, oh, but Tom, we can't accept $850 because we paid $890 for it. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, today, what we achieved is called market value. What you purchased it is called purchase value. What I'd like to tell you that there's no link between market value and purchase value. You see, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, what if you'd actually inherited the property for free? Does that mean that market value today is different? Another one is when they say, oh, but Tom, we really want to get, I had one on Saturday. Listen to this. On Saturday, I have a vendor that says, Tom, tell them we want another 20,000. Go tell the buyers we want another 20,000. I said, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, if you were a buyer and the vendor said to you, look, just please give me, I want another 20,000 off you, would you give it to them? The point is, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, what you want is not going to impact what a buyer can pay. Oh, but Tom, we need to get that price because we're moving to Toorak and Toorak's really expensive. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I've got to tell you, today you've achieved market value. Where you're moving to is called destination value. There is no link between market value and destination value. Guys and girls, let me keep moving on to some more scripts and dialogues. Okay. Gang, I'm going to give you 5 or 6 sentences that you've got to start using in dialogue that you're using with buyers, sellers, and vendors. Here they are. The first one is, I'm not sure if it's for you, but I'll say it again. I'm not sure if it's for you, but let me give you some examples on how you can use it. I'm not sure if it's for you, but if I had a buyer who had 1 million to spend, would I be wasting my time talking to them about your home? Another one. I'm not sure if it's for you, but I'm doing an appraisal down the road today. Whilst I'm doing that appraisal down the road today, would you like me to flick you a report for your property? This is a really good door knocking script, right? So just replay this again. In fact, I'll stop share now. So you knock on the door. Hi, it's Tom Panos here from The Professionals. I'm not sure if it's for you, but I'm doing an appraisal down the road today at 4 o'clock. Whilst I'm doing that appraisal, would you like me to flick your report for your home? It's non-confrontational, it's soft, and the reason why it works is that there's a little voice inside of the head thinking, but why wouldn't it be for me? That's the I'm not sure if it's for you sentence. Let me give you some others. Who do you know? Who do you know? I love that sentence. Who do you know next in your life that's going to be moving? Right? I'll tell you why I love this script, because it's asking that person if they are moving, but not being direct. So it's got a soft approach because it's actually making a reference to a third party. So let's talk about how you can use that one. Who do you know who is considering leaving the city and making a tree or sea change due to COVID-19? Who do you know that might be considering getting a bigger home in the near future? Who do you know that would like to stay in touch with real estate values in our area? The reason why who do you know is it's an open-ended question. It's getting them to open up their mind. And more importantly, it doesn't have that confrontational commission breath, because it's actually not saying, are you interested in selling? Let's move on to the next one. And that is called the how's the market script. And what we clearly know is that the how's the market, I mean, it is the most common thing you're going to be asked in real estate. How's the market? You're going to walk down and buy a coffee and you'll be sitting there. How's the market? How's the market? 35 years I've been hearing it. I walk down the street now and I see someone looking at me and I think it's how's the market? So here is my advice on how to handle how's the market. When they ask you, how's the market? Your response, it's it's different at the moment. Like, are you talking more like buying, selling, renting, or investing? And shut up. Because guys and girls, when you shut up, what happens is they've got to speak next. And then what you do, you can answer them based on their world, because you answered it with a question. So I'll say it again. How's the market? It's weird at the moment. Are you talking more like buying, selling, renting, or investing? That's how's the market. Let me move on. The next one is the one I've been using a lot today. How open-minded would you be? No one wants to be closed-minded. How do you use this? At a listing presentation, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, how open-minded would you be if I showed you our social media retargeting strategy? Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, how open-minded would you be for me to discuss what our flexi fee approach is when selling? Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, how open-minded would you be for me to show you a marketing plan that gets 10% more on average than non-marketing plans? Guys and girls, use that. Number 5 is, what's your experience with? Love it! So, picture this. On Saturday, I'm doing an auction. I get told by the agent, I'm letting you know, this is a know-it-all vendor. They're going to be very arrogant. They don't like auctioneers and they don't like real estate agents. I'm just giving you the heads up. This person is going to be tough. So I meet them and they got their hands folded, not smiling. You can tell they're not happy. So I said, have you got the reserve? He hands it over, gives it to me. That's it. I said, okay. And I could tell there's tension in the air. And he just goes, go do your thing and we'll see what happens. We're not giving it away. So straight away, my mind automatically reverts to, could I ask you, what's your experience with setting the vendor bid as a momentum bid versus an opener? He goes, sorry? I said, what's your understanding of how to use the vendor bid as something to start the bidding or to use it as a positioning bid during the auction? And he goes, well, what do you think? The next thing you know is we're sitting down having a conversation. Guys and girls, why do I like that dialogue? What's your experience with? Because it helps you understand where they're at. It helps you understand where they're coming from. And it helps you then deliver a solution to that problem. And as well as that, it disarms them because they begin to realize they don't know as much as they thought they did. That's when you use what's your experience with. The next one is this. By the way, guys and girls, I just want to check in with people in the chat box. Could you please have a look at the notes that you've taken or reflect? And it's now 2:41. And what I want to do is I want you in the chat box to start typing away what has been some of the stuff that has resonated with you so far for the 42 minutes we've been going. Please go for it. Type away. What gets planned gets done, Greg. It's actually what gets scheduled gets done. But Greg, you're a great real estate agent, one of the best on the planet. So I'm not going to argue with you. How's the market? Beautiful. The because strategy, says Tammy. It's weird at the moment. Beautiful. Prospecting calls. Tom, are great ideas. Thanks. Good to see you, Brent. Geez, we had a good time in Queenstown. Matt Latham, purchase value versus market value. Love, would you be open-minded? No, yep, beautiful. Conversations are the key. If it's not on the market, it's not in the market. Beautiful, guys and girls. So let's come back. Let's come back. Let's come back. Hey, Sandra. Good to see you. Let's come back. This is a piece of dialogue that I love because it allows you to challenge, it allows you to create doubt in people's minds. You see, when you ask this question, what it does is you got to understand people love certainty in life, right? People love certainty, right? And what you do when you ask this question, you get them to open up their mind to think there's a possibility that I'm not 100% right? So how could you use this one? Oh, by the way, let me give you the dialogue. How certain are you? How certain are you? So how do you use this? Example, you've got a vendor. I don't want to spend any marketing because I believe that, we're going to sell it without the marketing, blah, blah, blah. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, how certain are you that the marketing we do doesn't get us an extra 10% for your home? Another example. Tom, we're going to hang on to it. We know the market's going to go up. So listen, we're not happy with the offer that you've given us. We're just going to keep it because we know the market's going to go up. How certain are you that come March, the market's going to be better than what it is now? Guys and girls, I want you to understand when you ask that question, what you're doing is creating a bit of doubt and allowing the person to rethink about it. Words matter. In soccer, you get paid for the way you kick a ball. In tennis, you get paid for the way you hit a ball. But in real estate, we get paid for what we say and how we say it. So I'm going to ask you to actually become a wordsmith, but to become so good with your words that they've actually been internalized and you've actually made them your words, so they actually do not sound like they've come from a script school. They actually sound like you having a conversation with a friend. Guys and girls, I've got Samindra saying, hi, Tom, love the Facebook story, great way, needs lots of ideas. Anna says, I love the point to show vendors that there is no link between purchase value and market value. Let me give you another strategy that you can use to help vendors that are overpriced accept the reality of the market. It's called play the price is right game. And this is how it works. What you do is if you've got a vendor that's overpriced, you go for a drive and you look at the last 4 houses that have sold and you say, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, let's do a bit of a tour of our suburb. What do you think this one sold for? 850? No, 820. Then you go to another 2 properties, do the same game. Then you come back and say, as you can see, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, what I showed you is what's just sold. It appears that there is an error in your expectation based on what we've seen of the other 3 homes. So it works because seeing is believing. Let me move on to one more piece of dialogue before we finish, and it is the how important is it? How important is it? The reason why this piece of dialogue works is that often people have got all these dreams and they've got all these musts. For instance, a buyer, they want a 4-bedroom, they want a pool, they want an ensuite, they want a big block of land, right? And people can't have everything. And sometimes what a good real estate agent does is they ask questions that help them establish their own values in their head. So you can then say this to the buyer: how important is it that the home you buy has 4 bedrooms, a pool, an ensuite, be on 800 square meters and close to the station? Oh, Tom, look, the size of the block is, it would be great if it could, but it's not, critical. And like swimming pool, prefer it, but it's not a deal breaker. That's what you get by asking the question, how important is it? So guys and girls, I hope today that you understood. I gave you opening sentences that you can actually then have a framework. And what you can actually do with that framework, guys and girls, is then actually answer any piece of question objection by bringing in your answers by having the opening sentence. And this is being recorded, so you are going to get a copy of this to be able to look at it. And I'm moving back into the slide deck. And what I want to do is, before we finish off, just run through a couple of things before we go. And that is this. Gang, I want to let you know that in my own life, I'm a procrastinator. And as a procrastinator, by the way, perfectionism and procrastination are married, right? They're connected. Everyone that's a procrastinator is a perfectionist, and everyone who's a perfectionist is a procrastinator. And what I want you to understand is this, that one of the ways that I've been able to cure myself from the tyranny of procrastination is that a stranger once said to me, there's no point putting something off hoping that you'll get it better if you prepare for it. Because the first time you'll do it will be 80% good enough anyway. It'll only get better by doing it. So you know what I think? Don't let perfect get in the way of better. And for me, it's been an incredible recipe to help me overcome this tyranny of always delaying doing things, because we simply know that in real estate, that 80% can be good enough a lot of the time, because if you do something, something happens. And if you do nothing, nothing happens. And one of the things that you want to do is you want to become a person of action. You want to be a person that gets shit done. You want to be a person that doesn't think about it. You want to be a person that execute, because ideas without execution are delusions. And I've got to tell you, it is really, really difficult in real estate to become an amazing agent with someone that's not an executor. And I'm going to share with you the domino strategy. And the domino strategy says that if you see 10,000 dominoes lined up, the most important domino to go down is the first one. You see, if the first one goes down, it causes this mass action of one going down after the other. So, no matter what you need to do, get started, because 80% of winning is just beginning. And what we clearly know is, like, for instance, if prospecting is an issue for you, if one of your issues is that, you're simply putting off making calls, just try this. It's called the 5 dial trick. Make 5 dials. You make 5, you're in the game. You've started momentum. The hardest workout you're ever going to do is just getting to the gym in the first place. Once you're in, you're there. So guys and girls, I hope that look, you work for a great group, and many of you are exposed to a lot of training and content and information. So this, my friends, should not be information for many of you that's new. But the real question that you got to ask yourself is this: you know what you know, but do you do what you know? That's a far better question. You know what you know, but do you do what you know? And I'm going to say to you, maybe this webinar this afternoon, in the middle of November, in one of the greatest times in real estate that I've lived in 35 years. That's right. I believe that COVID was a gift that was badly wrapped. We've got all over Australia places benefiting out of the fact that people have got what is called COVID clarity. COVID clarity means that what has happened is people are changing their minds about their lives. They want sea changes, tree changes. They've decided that they're leaving their wives, leaving their husbands. They've decided that they're changing their life. And that says to me, you can't rely what is in your CRM system saying that these people are not going to be selling to 2024. My advice is that every real estate agent from the professionals leaves this webinar and does what I call the November summary calls for 2020. Get on the phone, and this is the call that you've got to do to everyone in your database. Hi, it's Tom Panos here from the professionals. It's that time of the year that I call people that I'm connected with and give them a summary of what happened in real estate in 2020 and what we're forecasting will happen in 2021. It's going to take me 2 minutes. Here goes. And what you do is you give them a summary of what happened in real estate in 2020. You give them a forecast on what you think is going to happen in 2021. And then you ask this question: how has COVID-19 impacted your real estate plans? Open-ended question: how has COVID-19 impacted your real estate plans. Another good piece of dialogue is this. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want to let you know, for us, it's been business as usual in an unusual way, particularly for those of you in Melbourne. I'll say that again. If you've been in Melbourne, get on the phone. This is the dialogue. It's been business as usual for us, but in an unusual way. Guys and girls, I want to thank you so much for your attention. Mike Harrington saying, thank you. Every time I see your posts and videos, it gives me a reminder and a greater sense of purpose and able to be a better trainer of my own personnel. Cheers, Mike Parsons, the Professionals Harrington. Guys and girls, my final comments to you are, these are the halcyon days. We're living in the best places in the world, Australia and New Zealand. Have an attitude of gratitude. Why? Because the chances of being born is 1 in 400 trillion. You've already won the lottery big time. And if you're feeling shit for yourself right now, if things aren't great in your life, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. What gives you the right to have a better life than a girl that's born in Ethiopia with AIDS today? That's a question you've got to ask yourself. And as soon as you've thought about that, it gives you perspective. Your life's pretty good right now. If you're sitting here watching this webinar right now, chances are that you're healthy. Chances are you're employed. Chances are that you're in Australia. Chances are that you've got control of your destiny. And I want to remind you that you should never, ever let the past equal the future. I'm going to tell you straight, choose to have a future bigger than your past and never, ever let your personal history get in the way of your destiny. Think probability, not possibility. And this is coming from someone that's had cancer 3 times, 2006, 2016, 2018. I'm the most heavily pre-treated person my doctor said he's aware of in Australia. We're talking about 300 cancer treatments in 15 years. As I sit and I finish off this webinar, I'm 100% healthy. And I've got to tell you, every day I spring to work. Why? Because I realize that life is not a dress rehearsal. I realize that time is running out. We all have a number. And I'm choosing to make sure that my future is bigger than my past. Guys and girls, I want to thank you so much. I might bring in Di or David or someone in to say goodbye to the whole group here. Hey, Di, how are you?
Hiya, Tom. Thank you. I'm sure everyone would agree that was fantastic. It was really great. We will be sending out the slides and the PowerPoint to everybody in the next few days. But if you do have any questions, please give the team at Member Services a call or Danny or David or anyone, and I'm sure Tom directly. And yeah, we'll certainly be able to help you out. But thank you. That was really, really good.
Thank you, David. Good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Good as always. And, you know, if I was summarize, you know, from my perspective, and I'll be honest, doing what you say you do, strategy, focus, execute, in 3 words. So
that's it. And Danny, thank you so much for coordinating this. Man, I was going to be at the professional seminar in Queensland. We would have been having drinks. We would have been partying. But guess what? That didn't happen. What's the next best thing? Man, you don't get on a flight. You can sleep in. You can do a Zoom. You can eat your own food. I got to tell you, COVID-19 hasn't been too bad at all. And it's reflected right across the country in real estate figures. And I'm pretty certain, David, that some of your offices are having some personal bests. Would I be right?
they are. So we're seeing figures that are far past pre-COVID, not only sales, but in property management as well. So opportunity, you just look for the opportunity and take advantage of it.
Guys and girls, my final words are, pick up the phone! Don't forget it! That's what it's all about. Pick up the damn phone! Signing off.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
See ya. Bye-bye.
See you.